Hey guys, this is Steven back with another tutorial. On the screen is a preview of what you're going to see. On the left is the original image, and on the right is the effect that we're going to be going after. This is titled Retro, but I made a few changes, so it's a little bit not quite as retro as you might think it would be. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is open up Photoshop, which I have already taken the liberty of opening this image inside of Photoshop. You can do this to any image, not just an image of an airplane, I promise. So open your preferred image and then move along with these steps. We're actually going to be combining a whole bunch of effects together. So it's easiest if you create these into a group. So you can do this two ways. You can go down here to the bottom right hand corner and click the folder icon, which is create a new group, or you can go to layer, new, and group. Either way you choose to do this, we're going to go ahead and add some effects to this. So for step 2, opening your image was step 1, we're going to go into layer and new adjustment layer. So go ahead and do that. New adjustment layer, and then go to color lookup. You can name this whatever you want. I'm just going to leave it the default name. So the thing that we're going to add is called futuristic bleak. Now this is kind of modeled after some of the future movies you've seen. It kind of gives us, I don't know what kind of look it really is, but it gives it an interesting kind of bleached look to it. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this layer, the adjustment layer. And you have to make sure to actually click on the layer rather than on the preview. Name it whatever you want. I'm just going to leave it as default. Okay, then we're going to go into these properties up here, which is just above the tools, the palette tools, and we're going to change this to film stock 50.3. So there's that one. And so we're already kind of getting to where we want. The next step is kind of optional, and I'm going to go ahead and do it. You're going to want to duplicate this layer again. I'm going to leave it default. And then we're going to go back into the properties, and we're going to change this one to 3strip.look. And that's going to give us that kind of, I don't know, it blends the colors in a very odd way, but it creates an interesting look. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer. You can either do this by going layer, new layer, or hitting the layer button down below. We're going to fill the entire thing with black by going over here to our paint bucket tool, hitting D on the keyboard to reset our colors, and then filling. What I'm actually going to be doing is creating a vignette, and I'm sure that there's an easier way to do this, but the way I prefer to do it is by going to the selection tool and going to the elliptical marquee. That gives me a bit more control over how it actually turns out. So click OK. I'm going to move this into the center, and I'm going to delete. I'm going to deselect by hitting Command D on the keyboard, go into Filter, Blur, Gaussian, the most used filter ever. And I'm going to run this up to where I feel comfortable with it. Wait for the computer to load it, and click OK. Then I'm going to drop the opacity, and there you have it. Now, one thing that I went ahead and added to this tutorial was I went ahead and duplicated the adjustment layers again, and just left it default name. Went into properties, and what I added was the bleach bypass look. Now that takes out almost all of the color, but I went ahead and I dropped the opacity down, so it just raised the whites a tiny bit. Now, if you're still not quite satisfied with the look of this image, you can go down and select the background layer, go into Image Adjustments, and then Curves, and just raise this a tiny bit. So you're just raising the overall lightness or luminance on the image. And there you have it.